Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. Just read the roll call.
Ms. Cooper Payton. Ms. Hedlund.
Present.
Mr. Jacobson. Ms. Jones is excused. Ms. Orkerton.
Yes.
Mr. Patterson.
Here.
Ms. Salmon.
Here.
Ms. Snyder.
Here.
Okay. No changes to the agenda, right? Okay. Next is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Anybody have any comments or questions? Okay. Okay. Okay, move to approve. All in favor of approving minutes?
Do a second.
Aye. Oh, yeah, okay. Somebody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Approve the minutes? Okay. All right. Next, we're going to have a presentation on Urbana First Fridays.
That's us?
Yeah,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Thank
Sure.
you, Pauline, for inviting us. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I was wondering if we should move the microphone a bit closer.
Oh.
I don't know, just in case, I guess.
And then, so we printed out a bunch of our maps for the event. They're right down there. So please, if you don't have one, it's kind of easier to follow along and figure out kind of what's going on when you have a map. So I think, and this is Annie.
Hi.
Annie. I'm taking the role of initial talker, and she's taking the role of if I forget anything, she jumps in to make sure.
Very well, but I'm just wondering, for the purposes of the camera, if we need the microphone a little bit closer so that it picks you up properly.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever you guys want.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's good.
I'll talk loudly.
You were clear.
Okay.
Acoustically, but I didn't know because he's recording it,
Yeah.
so.
Great. Hopefully it'll work. So I guess the first thing that I want to kind of say, or actually I want to ask first, is there anybody who hadn't heard of First Fridays until just now? Which is totally fine. Okay, cool.
I've been busy.
No, I mean that's fine. Like it's great to see that people have heard of it because that's the whole point. That means that we're doing our job. So our event, Urbana First Fridays. I'll tell you a little bit about the history, but generally the whole purpose of the event, though, is just to promote the vibrancy of downtown Urbana, the arts, the businesses, everything. All the good cuisine, everything like that. So general idea.
Yeah, and in Vibe Urbana, our tagline is local social culture. So that's what we're very interested in promoting. And you were probably going to just say, we're both of us are artists.
Yeah.
I do creative placemaking, and I have a master's degree from the Rhode Island School of Design. And Kristen?
I have my master's degree, or I will once I turn in my thesis in a couple months, in creative writing from the University of Illinois. So we met actually through yoga, but then we bonded over our artistic backgrounds and also our love of Urbana. I was actually working in the back of Pizza M helping Matt start the wine program back there. And when we became friends, and while I was doing that, I was working in downtown Urbana, and I saw all the great things that were going on. And I had actually been living in Champaign my whole 3 years that I was in school, and I was like, this is so weird that like my friends and people I know aren't coming to downtown Urbana. I don't know why. There's all this great stuff going on. And so I became just like very like pro Urbana. Like, you guys, friends, you gotta come down here. Like, what are you doing? And you know, I put on a lot of wine tastings in the back, got people to come out. It was super fun. But then Andy and I just started talking about how excited we were that we saw people were interested in Urbana. We wanted to do some cool events. We ended up doing a wine and yoga night at Pizza M that was very successful. What was cool about it was that it was super late at night. It was 10 p.m. And there were 25 people who came, and it was for a yoga class, and you got wine and snacks.
And we had local music, and then we had a recording of we worked with Airship Records, and we had local music going on in the background. And
yes, it was very pro-Urbana and doing cool stuff in a cool space at night. What was great was that half the people who came had never actually done yoga before. So it was clear that they kind of came just for a really unique experience and that they wanted to check out what was going on. So let's just fast forward.
Then we did the scavenger hunt.
Yeah. Fast forward to the scavenger hunt.
I know.
We're
sorry.
on the same.
two of us
No,
are
I love it.
weirdos.
We're on the same. We're on the exact same
well,
page.
it's like send each other
promise
text,
I'm
and
not-
I'm like,
I promise I'm not going to forget. So the scavenger hunt is actually what really made First Fridays happen. So we did an event called Uncover Urbana. We had been talking to some friends about a scavenger hunt that they did in LA one time. It was super cool, and the logistics of it were crazy, and we won't go into it. And I don't want to go into the entire logistics about Uncover Urbana because it was also crazy. But we planned the scavenger hunt, and basically part of the scavenger hunt was that you had to go to some businesses to engage in like a 20-minute activity there. So we sent them to Cinema Gallery, where there was an arts demo. We sent them to Capoeira Angola, where they did the Rhoda and their martial arts demo, and a variety of different things around town. This, while also doing an actual scavenger hunt, like find this different sculpture, find this building, find this architectural star of Urbana, all these kinds of things. And what was amazing was that our event sold out at 100 tickets. So we actually had to be like, it's done, we cannot actually allow anybody else to join because our final like party was at the Iron Post, and the Iron Post would have just like exploded if we tried to fit all those people in. So, okay, 100 people in the middle of July when all the students are out of town really want to come down to Urbana to literally just hang out and see what's going on. So I was like, I bet you we could do this a lot more often and people would come. So I was like, we got to do First Fridays. We got to create an occasion for businesses to be creative, have some kind of special event, or showcase even just like a retail deal or a restaurant deal or something. Because after the scavenger hunt, we had really great feedback from the people who came to the scavenger hunt, as well as from the businesses. The businesses who participated in the scavenger hunt was like, that was great. I really felt that I reached like the people who came into my spot. I really felt like they understood what we were doing. They had a really good time. I got to interact with them in an important way. And I was like, great. So we're gonna do First Fridays, which is basically like the scavenger hunt, except we're not gonna charge people money. But we're going to encourage you guys to come up with something cool to do, because we're going to try our darndest to get as many people down here as we can. So it started in September. Some of the stars of September were the Co-op, the Co-op has been quite a star.
Off the charts.
Off the charts. They've had like hundreds and hundreds of people come
every
to
time they do, depending on, hundreds of people. Certain businesses are beginning to figure out now how to attract hundreds of people and then how to handle hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun for us to help kind of guide them and talk with them and sit with them and say, here's, we got feedback that this worked, or that a lot of people just left the Co-op because it was just too crazy or just nonsense to them. So that's just a part. And like one of our rules is you be you.
Yeah.
Like we want businesses or artists or whoever we're working with, because we have an event that we want to have happen in the spring that you'll find out. We'll worry about later. But basically, our thing is what talent do you have? And that's creative placemaking. Who are you? What do you want to do? What do you want? And how can we make that happen for you? So that's essentially what we're doing with these businesses, because we're very fortunate in downtown Urbana to have a lot of small, locally owned, owner-operated businesses, which makes us really unique and special, which is what, people are really looking for now.
Well, because there are people who are really invested in what they're doing and what they're offering to people, and so they're all really creative. I mean, they know kind of what's at stake, and they're very interested in the event. And so, as you kind of look over the event, each event, we've had 3 so far. So the first Friday of September, and October, and November, and they've all been different for a variety of reasons. November had Folk and Roots, so that was very cool to kind of share the space, have people who were coming down for music but also experiencing other things, and then people who were coming down for other reasons also experiencing the music. So
right. It was nice too because it was like Dad's weekend, so people could bring, like, if Dad wanted to do Folk and Roots or Mom wanted to do Folk and Roots, Dad, we had other things. Basically saying this is other stuff that you can do. You don't have to just do, and that's the other thing we're very interested in, is trying to create this experience where there's lots of choices and lots of paths you can take. You don't have to just do the one thing.
Yeah, my goal is that you can never actually go to everything on First Friday, which means that you have to keep coming to all the First Fridays, so that you just can keep coming and doing something different each time. This really isn't a big burden on the businesses because, they already do cool events all the time. So basically we were just like, just schedule them on this night.
When your neighbors are doing it, let's just try to. We just kind of were like,
and we're very flexible with people. So for instance, this time Crane Alley was like, we are going to be absolutely packed for Dad's weekend. If I tell my staff that they need to do another special on top of it that's called First Fridays, their brains are going to explode. And he's like, so is it okay if we don't feature anything? And I was like, yeah, I'm like, this is an opportunity for you. It's not a requirement. It's, you can come in and out. If you're on vacation, go on vacation. We'll be back next month. It's okay. And people are really excited about that. That kind of method, and it brings a nice low stakes experience that this is going to happen every month, but then it's also super exciting because every month there's something to look forward to.
And the business owners can try different stuff, and so they can have Craft Properties now is curating a new artist every month versus prior to this they would kind of let the storefront go empty or nothing would happen there, and it's now every month there will be an artist and there will be live music and people know to go there. So that's or Cinema Gallery, we can give feedback and say, hey, we had some people we talked to some folks who wanted to buy some art and you would close, and she's like, I gotta go to bed, ladies. I'm like, okay, I just wanted to let you know.
But and so I guess this kind of brings back, as you can see later from the map as you're looking over, you can see all the cool stuff that people are doing. But I think what I'd really like to focus the last couple of minutes on is actually kind of what it takes for us to do this, because we've gotten a lot of feedback that kind of makes it seem like people are like, it's magic, it just happens, and we're like, it's not magic. We wish it was magic. So kind of what it takes as a typical month to do it, and then what our plans are to take it and grow it. Yeah. So on an everyday month, each month, basically, there's a lot of consultation that happens. So as you can see, people are trying out different events. Every business wants to talk to us about what happened, if they had a lot of people or if they didn't, what we thought about how many people came, should they have had more, what could they do next time, did they have too much, if they had too many people, how could they make it so that they didn't have too many people. Like Bar M did a wine tasting, they were like, we have to charge money next time because we literally can't have as many people as we did. We need to at least charge some money to get fewer people there.
So we work a lot with, and Kristen also didn't mention that she also does business. She teaches business writing. So the big thing that we really focus on is why. What kind of people do you want in your business and why?
Yeah, so we do a lot of consultation around event logistics and also marketing. Yep. What should your Facebook event say? Right. What is the language that you want to use? Right. A lot of people send us language, we redo it. So that takes a lot of time. Chasing down people takes a lot of time as well. We have a lot of very enthusiastic participants, but they also like to wait until the last minute to tell us what they're doing. So then we also do design. So we do all of our posters, all of our maps. This takes a lot of time. We go distribute all of those things. Every month we have 700. We have 700 of these so far that we
that we print up and
Distribute.
distribute. We have 50 color posters, and every month we try to do a new photograph with new text on top of that. So we try to have a new poster every month with that. And then in addition, we do many Facebook posts, many Instagram posts. We really, really encourage businesses to create an event, and then we will share the event, and then we try to, repost it and talk about it.
Yeah, so the marketing and the promotions of First Fridays goes on the entire month.
Yeah.
From the time that people decide their event, which is usually mid-month, then we're specifically talking about that event. But in the beginning of the month, after the first Friday, or after the first Friday has happened, we're posting about what happened that night, all the cool stuff that happened, and then once the new events are coming out, then we're posting all about the new events. So it's a month-long experience of promoting and marketing, creating a web of events between businesses, and also we answer emails and requests from artists all the time, performers, visual artists, painters, clothing makers, what business can I talk to? How can I become a part of First Friday? Is there something I can do with you specifically, or do I have to contact a business? Mm-hmm. So we've become this kind of conduit and liaison between a lot of the artists in town and businesses, which is really an exciting thing for us. I know we're going over time. Quick thing about what we're moving forward, where we would like to see this go. Yes, this is all great. It's been a huge success. We've been very happy with it.
City's been great, by the way.
Yes,
FYI, the city has been super fantastic.
Yeah.
Not kidding you. Those stoplights are now on blinky red and changes the entire atmosphere of downtown. People can just walk from place to place.
It's been really nice.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of support from everybody, and we're
Yeah.
super excited about that.
Yeah.
So what we kind of see for the future is, and what our goals are for 2017, creating a website. A nice looking website that people can reference, because right now we just have a Facebook page, which is really hard for some people to navigate. It's not really great to navigate if you really want to see what's going on. So having a Facebook page that, again, does the same kind of thing that we're doing, but maybe even goes into a little bit more detail, doing spotlights, business spotlights, vendor spotlights, artist spotlights, everything like that. Doing more marketing materials for downtown, so flagpole signs that we can hang up on the parking deck or just have around town on First Fridays. Create kind of the flags, or we haven't decided exactly what we want, but let's say flags for the businesses that are participating, so wayfinding in that way.
Definitely.
And eventually also being able to not be stressed about offering the kind of consulting service that we do anyway.
And organizing volunteers to be out there
Yes.
on First. We just do not have time to do any of that. Right now, what we're doing is has maxed us out. But we'd love to organize volunteers to be on the corners, handing out maps, saying, "Oh, you want dinner? Well, Black Dog's down there." Or right now we kind of do it. There's kind of only two of us.
And when you have hundreds of people,
it was sort of cute on Friday night. Some person was like, the map, and all these people at Folk Roots are pulling out the map, and I just go in my purse, I pull it out, I go here, and she goes, yes, this is the one. And they were all like, okay.
Anyway, it was
cute.
It was very
super
good.
cute.
But just exciting things happening in December. I know we're
December.
over.
Yep.
We have
Real
the
fast.
Mistletoe Market in the Civic Center. So we have about 20 to 25 vendors right now that are setting up.
Mm-hmm.
On Facebook, we almost have 500 people who've responded as interested or going, and that's really good for us. We've only had the event up for 5 days, so that's a really good feedback on that. There we're going to have hopefully wine, we're figuring that out, and we're hoping also to figure out some sponsorship for a little bit of entertainment either outside the Civic Center or inside. We might have Capoeira Angola come inside the Civic Center instead of doing it in their spot, but that's really exciting. Window decorating contest, we're trying to see if there's enough people downtown that are interested in decorating their spots that we can actually kind of curate a contest. And there'll be cocoa and wine tastings and everything will be wonderful. So definitely come out on December 2nd if you can, because it's really something that you should just experience for yourself. December will be very, very fun. There's going to be a big wine tasting in the back of Pizza M. There's going to be a big food tasting at the co-op. The Mistletoe Market will be there. Amara is going to have a huge art art show and their holiday party. Cinema Gallery, of course, was some amazing and beautiful. Bohemia as well. And
What I think
everybody.
has been most interesting too for us, and let's let you know if anyone has questions real fast. But I think what's interesting for us is every month has been different. I kind of thought it would start like falling into a groove, like it would always be the same, but it's like every month so far has had this totally different feel from the month before, which has been kind of a huge, like sort of like you're sort of like, oh wait, okay, this is just totally different, isn't it? You're just like, this
And that's
is-
what makes it interesting for us.
So anyways, that's what makes it interesting for us. But anyway, yeah. So are there any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts?
Sorry we went way
Sorry.
over. Oh, that's
Sorry, totally sorry.
It's okay. I'm really glad you came here to present because I think the commission and you guys kind of share some objectives in common.
Yeah.
Like you are helping local artists and we really appreciate that. And you're connecting them with resources. And also you have these events that, introduce downtown Urbana and its cultures to the wider Champaign-Urbana community. So I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
And
We try.
It's nice to hear.
That's
and
one of the
keep
reasons we
us-
founded the commission.
Well, you guys do a great job all the time. We're just, what we say is like, we are just seeing what's already happening, like the work that you are all doing,
Yes,
the work that businesses
that's
are doing,
exactly
the
what
work
we
that artists
do.
are doing, and we
Yes.
just put it all together and
Yeah.
we just promote it.
Yeah,
We're artists
pretty
as
much.
well, but we're not. You guys are the ones that are creating the art and making it
Yeah.
here, and then we're the ones that are just saying, hey, come see this, come see this.
Yeah,
come
we're
see
pretty
this.
much like curating an audience and bringing an audience to whatever you do,
And we're kind of telling the story of the arts that are in town and making people.
yeah, and
interested
that's
in it.
Kristen's magic sauce. She basically has created a narrative, and that was the thing that goes back to the scavenger hunt. Was we really wanted to create a narrative of downtown Urbana that wasn't stupid mall, stupid hotel. We wanted to create a whole totally different narrative that had nothing to do with those things at all. And my favorite part was at the end when someone handed back, it was these younger kids, and I was like, give me the feedback, because I was like, oh god, they're done already, how did that happen? And they were like, no, seriously, we just have another event to go to. And they're like, this was great, you're gonna do another one, right? And I was like, I was like,
And then I told her about this idea for Friday.
oh my god, my life then disappeared into a sinkhole. No, just
Yeah.
kidding. No,
Anyway.
it's been great.
Well,
It's
maybe
been
you
great.
can revitalize the mall and the hotel. with
Hey,
some big project.
We're hoping
Trust
that
me,
this
we-
brings economic development.
Trust me,
We're not
we-
all just like flowers and rainbows and paintings and singing. We're
Yeah.
very
This is
interested
our
in bringing
whole. Yeah, we are very.
businesses down here.
My biggest idea for the mall, it was just in Indianapolis, would be cool if there was a market, like an indoor, like, it could be outdoor, like one of those markets, where there's like that shared, lots of small businesses, what I'm talking about. What do you call them? Like city markets or like there's a French, like Chicago has one,
The
We
French
have one
market.
here.
like the French market.
We have one here, but it's out of season right now. They do come inside in the winter.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, no,
or
I'm
the
thinking
market
more
in the
like a
spring.
permanent, like
all
a
year?
yeah, like a permanent all year round. Like Milwaukee has a market, a public market.
Oh, like in St. Louis.
Yeah,
like
like
the,
St.
the
Louis.
Reading Terminal Market in
Yeah,
Philly.
St.
in
Louis,
Philly.
Yeah, and I was because
Yeah.
like basically the area that's connected to the mall that connects to the hotel, that's like a new addition. So that might not have landmark status. So you could honestly maybe open that up,
Meh.
And I'm walking away.
There's going to be one north of the Station Theater. Matt Cho's developing it. It'll
Yeah.
be a
Cool.
Broadway market.
That's great.
Yeah,
That'd be
that'd be
great.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't
under
know if it was
construction now.
exactly that structure that they were planning, or if it was going to be more of strictly dining. But yeah.
So there we go. It's
So
happening.
I think that, we get lots of really great presentations, but they're focused on particular events in
Right.
particular places. But your work and your projects are so aligned with the overall economic development of downtown that I think it would be really good if you agree, Brandon and Pauline. I think it would be really good if you would present to the city council.
Oh,
Sure.
Okay.
We would love to. We talked to
Yeah, that'd be great.
Charlie
We'd love
and
to.
Diane
Yeah.
and those folks a
We would
lot.
actually
So
do
we would love to
slides.
do that.
I mean, we don't have,
Maybe 10 minutes.
we don't ask everybody whom we support to present, although everybody is equally excellent or very excellent.
Yeah.
But in this case, because of the connection, the symbiosis with our other large goals, I think it would be very good.
Great, because we would love to hear more feedback from Arts Council, City Council, everybody. I
Everybody,
mean, again,
yeah.
this is, like we said, like, yeah, we're the kind of engine behind this, but if there wasn't everybody else, we wouldn't be doing anything. So, like, I mean, it's, we want to build it from what you guys want to do and
Yeah.
your visions. So we
Yeah, so
want
let
to
us
hear.
know how to make that happen, and we will make that happen.
Yeah.
And vice versa, if you need advice or any help from us, and keep us as your resources, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and Pauline's
thank
been great. Pauline's met with us and talked to us.
We like to
and-
bug Pauline about
Yeah.
ideas.
So I think a good time to come to the council would be, let's see, December 2nd,
November 28th,
November
city
28th.
council meeting.
Will we, is that
No.
Thanksgiving?
No, that's
That's just the end
That's,
of.
that's committee. Yeah, November 28th would, unless there's something terribly, well, it doesn't matter because you're not gonna, I mean, if we have a very heavy agenda, it's okay, you'd be a small part of it anyway, so I think
That'd be
November
great.
28th would be good.
Perfect. Yeah. Do we need to email you or anything?
We'll follow up.
follow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks. Thank you so much for listening to our very long presentation that was supposed to be a lot shorter. But we were very happy that we got to tell you all those things because we're very excited about the project and we really hope to see you down there if you can catch us because we're usually running around taking
Trying to
photos
take
and
pictures
videos. We have to get some kind of like tag that is like.
No tag. I almost died the other day. I was at Bohemian. She was like, "And I'm waiting to meet this artist." I'm like, "I'm supposed to be going to different venues."
I know. I know. I feel so
That's so
bad. Our
sweet.
businesses are like, "You're gonna come hang out at the event we just made for you," and we're like, "Yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick."
Like a race.
Running over.
But anyway.
All right.
So,
Thanks, guys.
Thank
yeah.
you. All right, thanks,
Nice
y'all.
to see you. Nice to hopefully meet you all more.
Oh, yes. So I thought you were going to be coming in a bit later, so
Okay.
is it okay if we just follow the agenda?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay, and we'll get that done really soon.
Okay, we're going to go ahead with the monthly progress report.
Yes. So, we'll start with Artists of the Corridor. We still have Rachel Storm's exhibition until December 7th. And then starting December 9th, we'll have a new show by Lori Fuller. And Lori does landscape paintings and colored pencil too. And we'll have an opening reception on December 14th from 5 to 6:30, so mark your calendar and I'll send out an invitation soon. So Art at the Market is over for the season. And the last one was on October 8th. We had music by faculty members at C4A. They call themselves the Music Boxers. And Carol Farnham was going to lead a street art workshop, but unfortunately she had to drop out at the last second. So we had Judy Lee come back with her button making workshop. And Judy was the previous month's artist, so it was easy to just coordinate that at the last minute. And since our last meeting, we've had 2 new episodes. One was Nathan Westerman, that's on the left. Nathan does mixed media art, and this month's episode has features Stacy Gross, who's a local photographer and art teacher. Stacy actually also won an ACE award recently, so it's perfect timing that we have her.
I just want to say I really like these ads. When I go on Smile Politely, I can't tell you how often my eyes are drawn to them by the works of the artists, and
Good.
it's like clickbait. So.
Yeah, Morgan did these. As for the sculpture project, we have installed all 5 sculptures, 3 of them sponsored by the city and 2 by local individuals, and I'll talk about this a bit later. And marketing keeps growing with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we have these posters that we have up around Champaign and Urbana, and we also have a couple of ads on Smile Politely to promote Art Now and Artists of the Corridor. And we are now in the middle of the selection process for arts in the schools. We had to extend the deadline because we did not receive many applications, so we extended it and we ended up receiving a total of 3, which is still not a lot. But right now, the finalists are submitting their final materials, and the jury is meeting next week to discuss it and to make recommendations. And lastly, the Arts Grants program has opened. The deadline to apply is February 6th. So if you know anyone who would benefit from this arts funding, please let them know. I held one grant workshop already at the university, and there's one more at the IMC on December 1st. So this is an opportunity to, yes.
Are you going to post this on the Facebook page too?
Yeah. Yeah, this is still December 1st, the next
For
workshop.
the next
so
one, I mean, yeah.
yeah, I will post this when it gets a bit closer so people don't forget. So this is just a chance for people to learn about it and also just to get some tips on grant writing. And also, I did not include this in the meeting packet. Sorry about that, because I feel like this was so long ago, but it wasn't, I guess. Yeah,
It seems
at our
like
last
a lot's
meeting, this was not,
happened since
this hasn't happened yet. But the Art Expo went well. It was attended by about 400, 450 people. Kind of like the previous year, I guess. It's kind of similar. And the revenue was really similar too, but just a little bit less than the previous year. And it's great that this year we had more variety in the types of art. We had a sculptor who had a booth, so that was great. This is Michael Owen Thomas. So a few artists like Mike here actually attended or participated the previous year as well, so this was their second year. But we had also quite a few of new people. Oh, sorry. And that's all for.
What was the final feedback from the artists? Or
Yeah.
You know, we saw a steady stream of traffic until about 4, and
Yeah.
then there was some talk about, you know, should we extend this or shorten the time, or what was it? You did some follow up, I imagine.
Yeah. So what's a bit different this year? I guess the first year, traffic was like up and down and up and down. Some hours were really, really busy, and some hours were like very quiet.
Yeah.
And this year was more steady.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but the artists noticed that. And some of the artists who were there last year noticed that their sales kind of went down this year. But, I mean, the overall total is still about the same, so I guess the newer artists maybe did pretty well. And just like last year, 2 booths didn't sell any piece. So these are usually, you know, the bigger pieces. They're more expensive and require more time to think. Yes.
Have you
And
thought
they-
about the time, as far
No
as opening
complaints
time,
about-
closing times, or any of that?
Not about that. They like the live music that we added this year. Although someone who's not by the musician said, I'm glad I'm over here, that I'm not that close to the music because I wouldn't like that personally. But the artists who were right by the music liked it, so that's good.
Well, I just noticed that by about 4 o'clock, it was getting really quiet, and the artists were getting ready they were already wanting to go home by then. And I just wondered if we wanted to have it go as long. But I figured you'd do a survey or figure out, you know, because just from where I was sitting, the perspective could be totally different than what was around the corner, for example.
Yeah. So last year was also the same. The last hour was the slowest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because, well, personally, if I go to art fairs or art events, I like to go early too, just because I know the closer you are to the end, the fewer artworks will be out there. And
Yeah.
so I wonder if we shorten it, the last hour will still be slow. You know.
It's possible.
Possibly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
never know. I mean, I suppose you try it and find out, but it could be
Yeah.
different every year.
Well, Kristen, you confuse people. I mean,
I don't know that
seriously,
we
I'd
have
be
a set
disappointed.
pattern though, because it's only the second year.
True.
So we'll figure it out. It's sort of the
Right.
history of this commission too. We figure
Oh, yeah.
things out every year, we finally get it worked out.
Is-
But we
is
keep
there-
trying.
Is there any way to follow up and see if, you know, there was activity after the fair that was really based on context at the fair? Because I'll just tell you,
Exposure.
Naomi and I we will definitely buy something, but we haven't figured out from a particular person, but we haven't figured out exactly
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Why?
went back and got your wife, didn't you?
what.
You were there earlier.
I was
and
there
then-
earlier and
then
I
you
went
came back
back
with her.
for my wife because I thought that there were some exciting things.
Yeah.
So I do encourage the participants to report back to me if they make any follow-up sales.
Mhm.
I told them we are not taking commission out of your sales after the event, but we just want to know for our data. I haven't heard from anyone yet.
Hmm.
Maybe I can send up a follow-up email and see if they would like to share.
Well, I know
Yeah,
from
we could
last
know.
year, though, I know there was at least one artist that said that there was follow-up. so-
Yeah, last year I received a lot of reports after the event.
Yeah.
So a lot of you were very helpful for this event. A lot of you volunteered a lot of hours to help out. So I don't know if anyone has anything to add, like any feedback or anything that you observed.
Well, I think
Pat?
it went a lot more smoothly this time because we knew what we were doing this time.
Yes, that's true.
You know, and also I think we have more of the basic equipment we need now to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think it'll just be maybe next year thinking of what we can do to keep it new and fresh. So,
Yeah. That's good.
Well, the variables will probably change depending on who applies too, and what they bring to the mix. That might sort of adding different ingredients every time.
Right.
It's always going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Pat, because we have more materials this year. So we ordered walls and now we have lights. So I think next year we'll save a lot of money so we can reuse all those materials.
Was there feedback on the food vendors or any of those other items that were ancillary, but
No, it's
part of the
always,
event?
well, one food truck had to cancel. They had some problems with the vehicle the night before.
Oh, boy.
So one showed up and he said the sales was pretty slow. This was the pizza truck, but he reported the same for the previous year. But he still likes to come out just because it's still good to connect with new people, to get their name out there.
right. Okay. All right, I think we're going to go ahead with the discussion of the open scene now.
So I invited Blair here to join us.
Hi.
The last meeting I introduced Brian Dolinar from the IMC, who's really involved in this project, and so is Blair. Blair also works at the IMC and specifically for Open Scene. So if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Yeah, I'm Blair Smith. I am program coordinator working at the IMC, particularly with Open Scene, which is our grant project that is really looking to make the IMC and the city of Urbana downtown a more welcoming space for young people in their art and creative spirits. So yeah, we've been moving along. And we've actually chosen 12 adult stakeholders to work with 10 youth leaders. And we are very excited about that group. We have teachers, we have a fireman, Matt Cho, who runs the SIP Yard, is one of our stakeholders. And so we're excited about the adults. We had an open house on October 15th. It was a very good turnout. We had about 30 people, along with some of the applicants. And we also had some local artists from a collective come out and perform. So that was awesome. And we had our youth apps due on November 1st. We have about 26 applications. And we are in the process of selecting. I know we have a steering meeting coming up this week to push some names to the board. And so we're hoping to have those selections done before Thanksgiving. Right now, also, I'm working with Pauline on the call for artists. We're looking to work with 4 artists who will run 4 weekend intensive artist workshops with the adult stakeholders and the youth leaders who serve as project leaders for the whole project. So we are currently working on that call. We're looking for artists from various different mediums. I know the IMC sort of tried a little gave a little try at this sort of model working with Mother Nature. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mother Nature. It's a hip hop duo, and they ran some workshops at the IMC this past summer, working with young people and bringing in different artists, producers, graffiti artists to work with young people and then create an artist showcase. So that's what we will be doing in the spring. If you have any suggestions of artists you think would be great, definitely let us know. We definitely wanted to know, like, what, as far as the commission, you know, different grants that you have, how many people do you usually get to apply? Because I know we only have 4 slots, so we're just trying to figure out, like, what, you know, where we should push it, how, what kind of response, you know, you all usually get from grant projects.
Yeah, I can definitely help with that. See
Yeah. If you have any questions too, let me know.
So you mentioned we're going to select 4 artists, and 2 from Champaign County and 2 just nationally. Yeah.
And sorry, can you clarify? Do you mean no dancers, no musicians?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was just kind of throwing out some different genres. So yeah, artists of various mediums, genres. It could be something that we've never heard of.
Okay.
So yeah, dance would be awesome. I know we have a couple of dancers, young people who are dancers that apply. So.
Do you always have the event in the facility? Or
Mostly.
Take them to outside events, perhaps?
Yeah. So I know that mostly. As far as like the workshops that the artists will be doing, most of that will be taking place at the IMC. I know that it's sort of, you know, as things move along, depending on what, you know, young people, the adults, mentors, stakeholders are sort of bringing to the space, I'm sure it'll branch out. So we're thinking about developing artist showcases and performances around Urbana that are based on the work that we've been doing with the 4 artists. So I don't know, let's say it's a mural project. I don't know, you know, we could figure out where that could be. It doesn't have to be at the IMC, but this is a project that's centrally located in the IMC, but definitely something that is going to branch out to downtown Champaign as well.
Yeah, I was thinking if you were doing field trips and they were building something, taking to, you know, Station Theater.
Yeah.
Or just, you know,
That would be
backstage
awesome.
at Grant where they build all the scenes, or the costume shop. Or,
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of resources in town.
Right.
To involve them in.
Yes.
But I didn't know how far you were going to branch out.
It is a placemaking grant too, so it is about creating identity for a sense of place in downtown. So,
Right.
So it'll be
if
more
we go
like
outside
more
the walls
focused
of
on
IMC,
downtown.
Yeah.
we want to generally keep it focused.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's out of the question.
Right.
The engagement strategies are really intended to evoke that
Right.
mixture of people, place, and
Right.
Yeah, and keep it more centered.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, how are you putting out the call for the national artists?
We haven't gone there yet.
Yes.
But there are some, I guess, registries online where you can
Okay.
just post there. Sometimes free, sometimes it's like a small fee. And then there's some listservs, public arts program listservs.
Right,
You can
right.
email them.
Yeah, I know there's some networks that we're sort of youth art networks that we're sort of
be
spreading the
great.
word to as well.
Yeah.
we can share the call with the commission as well if you'd be willing to share.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
definitely.
looking forward to sending an email to an old friend who does puppetry in the Minneapolis
Awesome.
area. And
Yeah.
There's this weird little puppet scene
Yeah.
in Minneapolis.
And
I'm
social
sure they find
media,
out
we
about
can do
Yeah.
targeted posts so that it
Mhm.
reaches a larger audience than usual.
Mhm.
But I think we may be surprised at how, you know, a lot of artists who
Yeah.
work with youth are can be kind of close knit. So
Yeah.
maybe even artists here have friends who do similar
Right.
things in, you know,
Right.
Arkansas or whatever.
Right.
But in the selection process, we'll not only look at artistic quality, but we'll
Mhm.
also look at their experience just working with young people or leading workshops,
Right.
teaching, things
Right.
like that.
And
So you
we're
could-
we're
just gonna say-
I'm sorry, go ahead. We're gonna release that on November 14th. That's
Yes.
all I have to say.
I was just going to say, it seems like there's some artistic mediums that wouldn't be very compatible with
Right.
this, but we
Right.
might be surprised.
Right, yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
So,
Pinch points.
right.
It's like what?
Sculpture, you know, like that might be a little more difficult one
Yeah.
to bring to point.
Well, we can definitely help to get the word out.
Yeah,
So,
awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
great.
Yeah, it seems to me, I'm just thinking of what Brendan said about a sense of place. I mean, there are some streets in the country, in the world, that are sort of iconic streets. The streets are destinations and people will go and walk around and see what's happening.
Right.
And I guess really the ultimate goal is, can Maine or Maine and race be that kind of place where people would just go to see what's happening? But I think that your project is really in that direction.
Awesome.
So it seems exciting to me from that point of view. I think it would be an interesting, I don't know if it, what tries, what doesn't really succeed, but I think it would be an interesting goal to say, could we make, Maine and race that kind of a place, or downtown Urbana, that kind of a place where people would just go to see what was happening.
Yeah, and these are some of the questions that
Right.
may be answered through the project. I think the main goal of this, at least to me, is just to reflect on what the IMC and the city have done
Right.
to make Urbana a welcoming place for everyone. So, I mean, we're both doing a lot of things, but we only see it from our perspective. So we want to hear from other people. If anyone, for example, maybe feel like their voices are not heard or they're not welcome in certain areas of downtown Urbana,
Right.
then we want to welcome them and have them participate in these art activities and hear what they have to say.
How
So-
can we get a hold of you if we have questions?
Oh.
And do you have for?
You work
Yes.
at the IMC?
Yes. I work at the IMC.
Okay.
I don't know the number by heart yet. I apologize. But my email, if you would like it, I don't have a card yet either, is blair.ebonysmith@ucimc.org. So yeah, if you have any questions, definitely let me know. So, yep.
I'll send out Blair's contact to you too.
Perfect.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we're going to talk about arts in the schools.
Yes. So yeah, I mentioned about how we don't get a lot of applications this year. I don't do anything different in terms of promotions. It's always just news release and social media posts and
Is
promoted
this a lot
things.
different from last year?
Last year we received 8 or 9 applications, so
Okay.
it's not too many in the numbers, but in terms of percentage, it's quite
Yeah.
a difference. Last year I know a lot of art educators are very busy. They they teach all day and they go home and they have more things to do. So last year I know a lot of the teachers who applied were kind of overwhelmed. And they called me and they were like, can we get an extension? I don't know if we can get this done in time. And then when they didn't get the grant, a few came up to me and said, oh, this is kind of disappointing because we spent like countless hours and we had like sleepless nights over this. So I wonder if, some individuals just were discouraged by the rejection and decided not to apply again this year. Just something I thought I should bring up. So if you have any feedback on that, I would love.
So I do have a question. I know it's easy for me to say because it's more work for you, or more work for the jury. But do the people who are not successful, do they get critique that it would help them to be successful in the future?
Yes. So in the mail, I always say I encourage you to give me a call so we can discuss your application.
Okay.
I would say I think no one called.
Yeah,
yeah.
because, I mean, in the games that I play where I'm applying for scientific research grants, always we get or submitting papers to be published. Always there's a critique about the strengths and the weaknesses that one can build on to perhaps be successful in the future. And often, I mean, very, very, very often, you get that and you work with it and then you're successful subsequently.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's more impetus, though, for people in the sciences to do that than there is necessarily for a hard-working teacher.
Well, that's true. That's true. The situation is really is really
I'm not
quite
saying we
different.
shouldn't give them feedback, but I'm just You're saying it might not be as motivating.
Well, maybe or maybe not, because I'm thinking of what you said, Pauline, of how much effort they already put in. Because the reapplication would probably be not as much effort if, you know, if it's a total loss, it's a total loss, but if they really had a concept that could be built on, then maybe the reapplication would not be as much work.
Yeah.
Well, I share it with Pauline because I have a very large network. I'm not doing this, but I do have a very large network, and I was encouraging lots of teachers and lots of artists, and I spoke to a lot of them, I emailed them, I answered their questions, I referred them to Pauline, and when the deadline was extended, I gave them another opportunity. I really was encouraging some very creative people, and I think every one of them said, it's too much at the beginning of the semester. We have too much going on just to get the students and our whole curriculum going. We need more time.
Yeah.
And yet,
Do
we talked about maybe, Pauline mentioned maybe promoting it earlier so they had time to think about it over the summer as a possibility, so they had a little more time to work on their project. But when it happens at the very beginning of the semester, they felt overwhelmed.
So I think we'll try that next year. I mean, this year we gave them about 2 months, so we do publish it in this summer, but maybe we'll move it so that it's more of the summer and less of the fall or something.
Yeah. Well, maybe more of a reminder.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in the spring, when they're evaluating what they're going to do in the summer, because there's more flexibility. They all do some stuff, I know, but they have more flexibility with respect to what they do in the summer.
Yeah. And I do still want to touch the fall semester just because, they will probably need to coordinate with school administration and whatnot. So,
Right.
Right.
I do a lot of in-school concerts through the symphony program, and I probably have 15 or 20 emails between each teacher before I can finally get it, and then have to check with all the artists to make sure they can be aligned up.
yeah.
And the biggest problem is usually for them finding the space and getting the support from the administration, and they're free concerts. They're subsidized. They don't have to pay for anything, but they can't line up the schedules and they can't line up the space. So it's, I can understand where they're coming from.
Would it be possible to make, I don't know what the grounds are for the application, if we require a certain type of application, but if we could make it look like it's a little less work, whether it is or not, maybe change the language a little bit. I didn't look at this one because for a variety of reasons, but I don't know that putting it into the summer would get more applicants, because I know because they're so busy those months, they sort of piece out from that paperwork mentality. They're still doing other stuff, but I don't know that adding paperwork in June or July is going to get attended to until the end of August anyway.
That's a really good idea.
Or maybe if we could attach it to a professional development day in the spring and go in and talk to them and say, here's your packet, here's the steps 1, 2, 3, let's, whatever they want to talk to. That way they're already there.
And maybe doing a
strategic
workshop
planning.
similar to what we do for the grants.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Or give them a chance to opt in for hours, something they already have to do that maybe a little more sort of slanted to what they want to be working on, rather than, we've all gone to those divisional meetings that could be a little more succinct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, trying to find the right way to reach them all and excite them about the project.
Well, we
Because
don't
we're
want to
here
give
to
them
try
more
to help
work,
them.
right? Because right now this is more work, and they don't
Yeah.
have space for more work.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to get relief from something else, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So, as much as we want to support what they're already doing, it's more work. So,
Maybe it has to be geared more toward the individual artist rather than the teachers, but it
That's
kind
an
of
idea
is.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
it's
the
just-
artist can pick up the workload.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll try all of those next time.
have them partner with the teacher at the end.
Yeah.
That's what have them do it.
Okay, well, next would be Urbana Arts Sculpture Project.
So yeah, all 5 have been installed. This was the latest one. I think it looks. Huh?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm excited.
Oh, it was just installed yesterday. It actually took like 3.5 hours. So there were some glitches, like some bolts weren't working and things like that. But it's all good and it's installed and I think it looks really nice. You can see it even driving by on Ray Street. You can see it
That's the plan.
from
That's what I
Station
wanted.
3. Yes, exactly. And it's red, so it's quite striking. So I like it a lot. And this was installed by the courthouse, and it's quite exciting for me because it's the first time that the county actually has a sculpture in their property through this partnership with the Public Art League. So I hope that opens up the door for many more installations in the future.
Before you leave that, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
It was interesting for me to see this. I've seen other installations, but the artist was a little bit late that day, so we were all hanging around and visiting. And I asked a question about the work it's mounted on, and that's actually a sewer cover.
Oh, the concrete.
The concrete is a sewer cover, and I was asking who made it, and they said it's actually very economical this way because these are already made.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Public Works
right.
Department
I mean, I never
provides
would have
it.
thought of that. I would be more in just looking at the sculpture, but I thought it was just interesting little trivia.
Yeah. We reuse them too for, every cycle we reuse the
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
pads.
it's very efficient.
Well, it raises a good point the commission should be aware of, and that is that our Public Works Department provides labor, equipment, and materials like this.
Yeah,
and
and
they
we
do not
really
charge
appreciate that.
the Public
Yeah.
Arts program for that, and it would be
Yeah.
quite costly to do that on our
And
own.
it goes beyond just the technicalities of installing. I mean, the coordination that, we talk and we visit sites and whatnot, so they're
Right.
really helpful. This one, A New Leaf by Don Lawler. This is at Parking Lot 1, which is near Water and Race. This one actually was kind of tricky to install because the artist was concerned that our equipment would scratch it.
Oh.
So eventually we just went with hiring a third party to do the lifting and installing, which is surprisingly not as expensive as I thought. Plus we got that grant recently, so I thought, this is a good chance. We should not risk,
I'm kind of surprised because
liabilities.
if he wants people to sit on it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna get scratched.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably like getting a new car and you're worried about it getting scratched and then
Exactly.
it gets finally scratched and you relax.
The
Yeah.
first cut's the
Yeah.
And Horse and a Hound at Boneyard Creek Crossing. I'm actually meeting with the sponsor and PAL and Public Works tomorrow to decide because we feel that it's just not very visible right now. We tried trimming the plants a little bit, so it's been trimmed since this, and they have been lifted a little bit because we doubled the path, so it's kind of double the height.
Yeah.
It's still not very visible.
Hmm.
So we'll talk about it tomorrow and see what the sponsor decides to do because it's kind of his decision, it's his piece. Most likely we'll keep it here, maybe just move it a bit forward or something else. And I think this is the last one. This is Keep It Together at Leal Park. We thought about placing it by the city building, and then turns out we may re-landscape that area, so it was just not an option anymore. So I contacted the park district, and they're very responsive, and really quickly they decided to adopt this. So this is now at Leal Park. The park district was really pleasant to work with, I have to say. Like, they respond so quickly to everything.
Yay.
And yeah, this is also their first time, I think, installing a sculpture through PAL, so they worked the agreement and everything. So yeah, I hope this is also a new beginning for them. And we were, well, this is on the News Gazette by Melissa Murley, and this is on the Sunday edition. Talks about, this installation. I actually missed her call that day, so she didn't get a quote from me, but she did interview Public Art League. Yeah. I invited her to take pictures of Monolith installation, so she needed to do that. And I will start promoting the sculptures now that they're all installed. And I talked to the Public Art League, and they decided not to do a brochure this year. They said it's just not very effective anymore. People don't like prints anymore, and it's just too expensive. We did it 2 years ago, and it was very expensive, but I guess we can maybe discuss that too, like if we still want brochures or if we just I can work on creating a really nice online guide that we can still print out and hand it to people if anyone asks.
Or make it so they can download it themselves
Yeah,
and read
Yeah.
it themselves.
yeah, because the printing is the expensive part.
Well, especially if it's color.
Yeah, I would say let's just do online, but downloadable.
Mm-hmm. Like foldable and downloadable.
Maybe if you titled it Your Guide to Urbana's Pokemon Gems.
There you go.
I like that.
Well, Pauline did some research with one of my other staff, and they went around and checked out.
Yeah, to check out which businesses and sculptures are Pokemon gems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
actually,
library's one,
most of our
isn't it?
public artworks
Yeah, the
were
library
like
is.
that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost all of them. So
But
that
can you
was-
use that name legally?
Oh,
No, I was not.
Oh.
Dang.
I don't think we want to do that, but they are. They are sites.
Could you have the new sculptures highlighted on a First Fridays route?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that.
Yeah.
Smart.
I was
Maybe in
thinking
the
like
spring
a
for
art
Boneyard?
walk in the spring.
Maybe
Mhm.
for Boneyard?
Maybe.
Because the weather will be nice by then.
Yeah. I know PAL does a sculpture walk every year in downtown Champaign. I think they choose Champaign because the sculptures there are closer together, so it's
Yeah.
a very short
Yeah.
walk.
Yeah.
They can't handle
And then they have the Humpty Dumpty kind of egg, but it would now.
Yeah,
Oh, right, yeah.
Mr. Edwards or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually got the big
Yeah, that's
picture on
perfect.
there.
The
It's-
placement,
Yeah.
the sighting is perfect.
I've heard
Yeah.
more comments about that sculpture.
Oh, yeah. But that's just the right place for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
visible.
I was hoping with monolith because it has that hole in the middle, and the photographer took a picture of the artist with his head in the hole.
Oh, yeah.
That I can imagine a lot of selfies and people going up and sticking their head in the hole. And it might bring a lot of people downtown just for that reason, just to have a photo.
Put your head in the hole.
Get the head-
When you know, when I was a kid, we used to go to Williamsburg, we'd get it and put our faces in our arms in the stocks, and your parents would pretend they were going to leave you there.
Well, and I think a Photoshop picture of putting your arm in, except it goes in, but then out here it has vanished.
Yeah, there's maybe a lot of possibilities for that one too, I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope so, at least.
Hope so too.
Well, there could be a contest for the most notable pictures with the sculptures.
Mm-hmm.
And we could, post the
Photoshop copy.
Yeah, have people send a photo in
have
to
people
you.
send them in, and then we could post the ones.
Do the
that
artists
were-
have any say in this?
No, I
No.
think they're I guess their thought is always like, this is yours for 2 years, do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking when Naomi and I travel, and we're probably like a lot of people, we will take pictures of each other next to some work of art, and we'll try to do something, look in some way that relates to the art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and some of these sculptures are really accessible to do that with.
Yeah.
The house and the horse and the hound, maybe not so much, but they
No.
can sit on the bench in front of it and maybe recreate it too.
Yeah.
Some of these are readily available, especially the one by the courthouse, because it's an open
Right.
park.
We can even do this contest through First Fridays too.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. So now is Makerspace.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience.
Oh, sure.
Sure. It's just a presentation room for today. Okay. I'm Emily Knox. I'm a key member of Makerspace Urbana, and we are a working group of the Independent Media Center. Every year for the past 6 years, we've been doing the Heartland Maker Fest. We were first a mini maker fair, And 2 years ago, we decided to break with Make Corporation and go out on our own, and we started the Heartland Maker Fest. It was held this year on October 1st. Should we say 2016? Sorry, I did these right before I came. There were almost 30 makers from around central Illinois. We had 1,707 attendees, which is less than we had last year. We're not quite sure why we had fewer. We did decide to cut our marketing budget, so that probably has something to do with it. We didn't advertise on Illini Media this year, or WILL, or Smile Politely, so I cut $1,000 from our marketing budget, and that could be seen here. There was also a lot going on that day. It was also very close to the Made Fest, which some people get very confused as to whether or not we are the Made Fest. We are not the Made Fest. It's very different from the Made Fest, actually. It's primarily the work of 6 Makerspace members on the committee, including myself. What you see here, this is actually from one of our makers. This is a topographic map. So as you play with the sand, it moves and makes a map that shows you rivers and valleys and that sort of thing. And this is actually a father-son team who showed robotics, this, and some of the things. The robot actually solves Rubik's Cubes in some amount of moves, and it was the son that had done that. So these are all the makers that we had. This year we had a lot more artists than we had had before, and we also had music. And actually both of these were great enhancers for the Maker Fest. Some of these are people are new. Potent, the Moores, Caroline Goldsmith, most of the ones at the bottom are new, except for ... And others have been with us for a very long time. So the main thing that the Urbana Arts Grant does for us, it helps us have a free event. So this is always at Lincoln Square Mall. This basically helps us pay for the expenses for having it at the mall, that and the tables and chairs. We provide food, breakfast, and lunch for the makers, as well as a lot of water. But mostly people ask us, does it cost anything to come into the Maker Fest? And we get to say no. And that's really the most important thing for us. This is the Seed Fab Lab with an Arduino costume, and you can see they have lots of different stuff on. So they've been there every year. These are all of our sponsors. We got a couple new ones this year, Pomonic and Oakwood Public Library District. We are still working on getting more sponsors. This has proven to be very difficult for us. We're not sure why. We would love any input on how to find sponsors for this. It costs, it's not a very expensive event. It costs between $4,000 and $5,000. What's not covered by our sponsors is covered by Makerspace Urbana. But we would love to have more sponsors in the $1,000 range is really what we would like. If we got 3 of those, so that would include you guys plus 2 more, that would actually basically cover everything for us. That's really going to be our goal again for next year, is increasing our sponsors.
So how did you get the Oakwood Public Library District?
We post on Facebook. We send out emails to all of our everybody on our Makerspace list and on our previous Heartland Maker Fest list. And we have a sponsorship sheet. So I think they sponsored us with $250, which gives space on our website, Twitter, and Facebook, I think is what that level gets you. And the director wrote me and said, we'll be a sponsor.
So you didn't actually present to them?
No.
Or in any way be more aggressive?
No, not at all. They're opening a new makerspace in their library, and so I think they wanted to be a part of that. Dixon and Weiskamp are both in-kind sponsors. So Weiskamp gives us around 30 volunteer shirts, and Dixon basically does all of our graphics. So this is the fashion show. This is Royal Bijou, and it's upcycled fashion. This is always a lot of fun. We play music. There's an actual catwalk that the kids walk down, so that's always a lot of fun. This is some of the fine arts that were shown. So we take up the South Hall and the parts of the East and West hallway. Our goal is really to take up the entire South Hall and the East and West hallway. That would be really great if we could do that. This is Society for Crying Anachronism. They did a fencing demonstration. So, well, actually a sword demonstration. And so you can see parts of the fest going down that way. There are always a lot of kids at the fest. So here they are. I can't remember whose this is, but we really like our makers to have something to do. So even if you're a fine artist, like sometimes people will just have crafts for kids to work on. Since it's a maker fest, you're encouraged to make things. But some people just show their stuff, and that's fine too. We have a very low entry fee. It's $15, and it's mostly just so you'll show up. And if you have been in the fest before, we don't charge anything. So next year, it will be October 14th, 2017. I've already secured that date at Lincoln Square Mall. And our hope is to raise our numbers again. We've been hovering around 30 for our makers. If we could get to 40, that would be great. We're hoping this particular weekend, the 14th, might work a little bit better because it's 2 weeks after the Made Fest instead of 1 week after the Made Fest. We've tried doing a little bit more work at the farmers market, so maybe coordinating that a little bit more. We're just not sure how much the investment, we're not sure how much it is worth it to pay for the online media. I mean, maybe it is. It's just so hard to tell. And we did a survey to hear what people thought about it. I still need to get all the results for that. But it's hard to see what your return on investment is for that. So if you want to see more pictures, there are about 150 up in our Facebook group. And the call for makers will come out in June, and the call for sponsors usually comes out in like March.
I have a question, because I know one of the makers is also a librarian. And do you ask the participants to assist with possibly identifying a sponsor, or?
We send the information to our participants as well. So when the call for sponsors opens up, we ask people to send them to anybody. We're just not tapping into the right networks for larger dollar sponsors is really the problem. So I think it'd be easy for us to get like $50 sponsors or $200 sponsors, but finding $1,000 sponsors has proved to be quite difficult.
It's tough in this community.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going through the same well.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
501c3?
We are, because we're part of the Independent Media Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't have our own, as a working group, we don't have our own finances. We are part of them.
Well, thank you. It sounds like a great project.
Sure.
A lot of fun. I've been to it before. I didn't make it this year, but yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Great. And if you know anybody who would like to help us out in the committee, we are expanding the committee and giving people actual roles this year instead of just trying to do everything by the seat of our pants. We're finally at that point to make it a little bit more structured.
Great. Well, thank you.
Sure.
And
Okay.
the Arts Grant's opening again, so.
Yep, we will be applying.
That's the nice
Absolutely.
thing about the grants, when you give this money to a program and then you see that they bring a lot of people to downtown Urbana, then you feel, good.
Oh, absolutely.
It's working.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Makerspace always has some really great pictures.
Yeah.
And I always use your pictures for my presentations.
Oh, so I should say that those pictures are by Jeff Putney, who's one of our key members. And he's the one who takes almost all of our pictures.
Ask for his permission from me.
Oh, he always grants permission.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder if, now, do you approach downtown businesses for sponsorships?
So we haven't been doing specifically downtown businesses. That's something we can do. Yeah.
Because you're bringing traffic to downtown.
Yeah.
There's going
Mhm.
to be some of the people who come will, perhaps patronize another
Yes, that's
downtown
true.
business.
Yeah, we can definitely try that this year.
Did you have any food makers? I just thought that might be a.
We didn't have food makers, and I have to check with Wade about having food makers.
Right. So I thought that might be a good way to get a higher level sponsorship if they know, like, we can, come and make this thing that we either have access to or serve at our shop, and then, they might be willing to
Okay.
have a bit more money too.
Yeah, I can try that too. Yeah, I'm willing to try anything. I've really not got to update, but I will definitely send things to the businesses downtown and see about food makers.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any announcements they want to make?
I have a few grant posters here. I already put up, I think, all of them in Urbana and the coffee shops in Champaign and the library in Champaign, but if you can think of any other places, I can give you a copy or two.
Yeah, I'd like to take a couple. You never know. It's always good to have them available in
Yeah.
case somebody asks or the opportunity to
I
present.
was going to say, I really like that design.
It looks good.
Yeah.
It's
So-
much more straightforward to it says right at the top what it is.
Oh, so
That's a good thing.
the intern last year, Sarah, I think, or no, it was Miranda who made this,
Mhm.
and Morgan played around with it and made changes and changed the colors. So yeah, I like it.
So I guess it would be obvious that you probably already did the food co-op in the Strawberry Fields.
Yes,
Okay.
those two have that poster.
Trying to think of where I patronized it.
Yeah, I usually just take them with me.
Yeah.
They're either in my bag or they're on the front seat of my car. And then,
Uh-huh.
because every time I go somewhere, I go, dang, I should have brought a poster. So if I just have it with me, then I can go, would you mind putting this up? It makes it a lot easier because you're already going there.
Right.
Do you send these out to schools too?
No, I haven't done that. Do you think it's going to be effective? Probably.
I think it could be,
Okay.
especially because I know last year at least encouraged people who didn't get the Arts and Schools grants to do this. So.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I can send it to the offices.
In Parkland?
Oh, Parkland, I haven't hit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's I always put off Parkland. It just feels so far, even though it's really not that far. But
Yeah, but they got a lot of artists.
that's true.
I don't know if any artists pass my office door in the Beckman Institute, but.
They do. There's music and stuff in there often.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, well, I can post in Beckman.
Sure.
We're everywhere.
Robert, you wanted one too?
Yeah. Thank you. Well, speaking of music, since you asked for events, I'll just mention it's getting that time where you need to think about what to do for Christmas for gifts. And the Symphony has their annual fun holiday pops concert at Granite on December 8th. And if any of you like touring shows, there's a Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant show at the State Farm Center on the 9th. And they have a 56-piece orchestra, and all the musicians are from Champaign-Urbana.
Oh, very nice. Excellent.
Yeah. That's why I've been busy.
Okay, anything else? If not, I'll ask if someone would like to move that we adjourn.
Oh, I'll move, we adjourn, in the interest of not having to stay here for a minute.
There you go, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.